Welcome back to the NLC Division 2. It's about to hit the fourth game of the day. London versus Nativz. We're talking about 10th place versus the first one. The only difference is that sweet zero. Let's see if London are going to rack up one victory versus Nativz, which would be really impressive. And also, it's really complicated for London. Like, I cannot address it in a different way.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for London, no matter how you splice it. You're the last place team. You're playing against the 10th place team. So what I hope for from a game like this is for London to try and surprise us a little bit, right? Come out of the gate, A, in-game swinging, right? I think that's the important part. But B, come out with potentially even like a draft plan, which is maybe something that Nativz wouldn't be expecting, because it seems like Nativz, we've had the analysts and even the players on the interviews kind of say and mention how it's been very easy to read a lot of teams. They've prepped very, very extensively and very, very well, to the point where they're very happy just kind of letting teams draft themselves into holes and just allowing Nativz to play their game. So I would maybe like to see a little bit of creativity today out of London United. I think, even if we kind of take a sample size of the Rising Dawn Lucent game earlier, whilst it's not quite as big a disparity between team skill in that matchup, Lucent kind of did the thing which a lot of lower end teams would do against higher end teams, which is just draft full scaling, hope that you can come online. But when you do that, you give the team who is performing stronger than you. I'm not going to say like objectively better than you, because sometimes that might not always be the case. Pound for pound, things don't always click as a team, right? But they're performing better than you in the moment, in the standings, and you give them all of the agency in the early game to do what they want. They're almost always going to close out those early game leads that they pick up. So I want to see London United come out of the gate with, agency tools in the early game. Yes, maybe something to rely on in the later stages, right, to scale into, but don't just give Nativz the ropes for the entire game, right? Allow them to, have to maybe think about making very tough decisions early on, so that you can get yourself, an early advantage on one side of the map at the very least.
And if you look into this, well, they saw the previous game. It's going to be Belva removed away from this one. Cartas as well. Nativz with 9-3 on the other side is 3-9, so quite the opposites from first place to last place. Kalista, we're seeing from one side London United not allowing Nativz to play what they want to play, not the early aggression or even to play with that Cartas. Serafin, it's the usual. Zeri has been dropped far from the table. They don't even want to see Zeri anymore. Like, she was tweaked. I don't think it was a big nerf, but it seems like it's not good enough for Division 2.
Yeah, not at the moment. Seems like Zeri just fallen off priority entirely so far to date. But for Nativz, very normal bans. The Seraphine, the Belveth still need a third ban to fill out, and it's going to just be the Corki. So removing away some of that, sort of boring Resident Sleeper scaling aspect, London United are going to default to this Wukong pick for the first pick. Now let's see what Snille wants to do, because Snille, the player in the league, definitely to me one of the more proficient Lilia players, and would be very happy to take this as a jungle matchup from the get-go, and then maybe Nativz could lean on an AD carry pick in the first rotation as well. Wouldn't be too surprised to see a rotation like Lilia and then AD.
That is interesting. Going straight up for the safety net, gets the comfortable on the top side. It still could be a Graga support. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's still a far-fetched champion select coming in from Native.
Yeah, but I mean, you immediately draft yourself two very strong disengaged champions against Wukong, who is normally going to be surrounded by dive champions, right? So from the get-go, yes, you maybe have some sort of weaker early lanes on the sides, but into London United, this is something that is going to be fairly easy to pilot. London United, they're going to pick up themselves the Zeri. They could just go for the Yuumi at the same time. You already have the Wukong there who she can also attach to, and you're laning into Ezreal. So if you don't pick up the Yuumi yourselves, that's also a lane that you could maybe have to worry and deal with if you don't at the very least pick up a support now. So I expect London United to pick up Buzzy's champion, whether it's the Yuumi or whether it's another engaged champion. The other pairing that we commonly see with it is the Nautilus, which honestly I would prefer more out of the two. I think you pick up the Nautilus, you're able to always be able to flash on top of the Yuumi's face if you want it, and you always have the depth charge to try and track that Ezreal. But they buy into the combo, that's fine. Of course, we know how strong this combination is as a duo, but now it's about what Clots is willing to play, because there are quite a few champions which you can play into this Yuumi. Is a plethora of different playstyles that can come out. It's more about what Nativz are actually willing to play, and Clock's a player that, as long as I've cast him for over the last year or so has pulled out a many matchups into the Yumi. Some more boring, some more exciting like the Sona, because you can just outscale it. You can't get poked out in the lane, and it just scales into a team fight monster if you have a death ball composition. So I want to see Nativz try and round out like that. 2 bruisers, 1 in the mid lane, 1 in the jungle role, and then you have this Sona who is practically unkillable with an Ezreal right next to her that's always going to be able to self-peel, but also whack out a massive amount of DPS.
If I see a Zeraf being picked for relay, we know what we're about to see. It's we play, you don't. For London United, they need to be careful about this poke composition. It's starting to look really strong on the we can poke from afar. We don't care anymore about the game. And it's Nativz. They know how to pilot that one. They showed us before. It was versus Light Side that they pulled this trick of poke from afar. So since they have the Gragas and the Ezreal Sona, it doesn't seem like the Gragas is going to be a support. So obviously he will be relayed into the top side unless they want to pull a trick one on us and put the Gragas on the jungle just to disengage and then get a Jace on the top side to get additional poke. But in my eyes, it seems like they're going for that one. They take away the Camille, so another engage.
Yeah, I mean, they're banning away
like a nasty one.
They're definitely banning away champions that are
Can glue.
Like kind of like deal very well with the Gragas matchup. So I expect that that is what they're aiming for. They're just trying to take away uncomfortable matchups of the Gragas, and then they're just going to go for the jungle or mid here on the R4. I'm actually not sure which I would prefer for them to do, to be honest with you, because I think holding on to the Gragas flex is definitely very potent, but you also don't really want to give up your mid lane card now. I feel like mid lane would be maybe a little bit stronger to hold on to for R5 into a game where you're dealing with Wukong, Zeri, and this Yumi, and it seems like they might agree. And the Sejuani flexes into both lanes, so they can, in theory, kind of just interchangeably swap it if they feel like the top lane matchup is comfortable for one and not the other. And again, we said we want to see these bulky, beefy, I said bruisers. You know, this is more of a full tank in the Sejuani pick, but still, it's going to work in that same vein of just surrounding the Sona and being buffed up by those stats, and that's the important thing. Now, what are London United going to do in response to this? I think the side response is great. You pick up the Sejuani ult, you pick up the Gragas ult, and hell, even the Sona ultimate to sort of chain CC, really, really potent. You'd be very surprised, and I expect that actually maybe even to go up towards the top side for super big fun, but definitely, I mean, we'll have the flex revealed to us here and now, whether or not that's in Beartree's hands or not. But London United, what will we see out of them? That's kind of the next big question. Something like Zac would actually be kind of fun, but I don't think we're going to end up seeing it. It's been hovered a couple of times today, so I wonder if it's something that is genuinely in consideration for these players or not. But it's the Aatrox that we land on for super big fun. A lot of comfort. Should, in theory, drain tank that Sejuani lane or the Gragas lane fairly well. Gets up to the scaling point, and then will be super duper powerful. And now looking towards a mid lane pick. Maybe looking towards a Lucian, actually. And it's not something we see too frequently, but it would kind of make sense in the context of what Nativz actually have in their hands right now. They have double engage / disengage, and they needed another damage threat for sure. And it couldn't really be another AP champion because they already have the Gragas, they already have the Sona. Even the Ezreal was kind of like a 75-25 split in damage there. And even the Sejuani technically predominantly deals magic damage outside of the flail. So yeah, honestly, I don't mind it, and it's going to give them mid lane priority for them to play off to either the top side of the map to try and shut down the Aatrox, where you have a whole bunch of CC from the Sejuani on the Gragas, or you play towards the bottom side to, you know, alleviate any pressure that Zeri and Yumi can put down onto Ezreal and Sona. But I expect that to be a priority lane for Nativz anyway, so a lot of flexibility in where Nativz want to be able to play. I think for London United, though, you really can't underestimate the fact that they have 3 bruisers, a Yumi, and then a Zeri on top of it. That is a very, very scary combination where Yumi, in theory, should always have somebody to kind of sit on top of and buff up to be an absolute monster. So London United, if they can get one of these bruisers ahead, or even the Zeri realistically, right, they have a lot to work with. And we've already seen what Rusty Sniper can do on this Zeri. We saw it on Saturday into Lucent, I think it was the Saturday game, where it was just Fuyu against him, and man, was that a matchup to watch. So I'm excited to see him on the champion again.
I would say at this point, London United don't have anything to lose, so this is their game to win. If they're capable of winning, in reality, they can kind of tie up with Lucent and Garp. We still have to see what happens at the last game of the day, which is going to be Garp versus Monster Rugby Gaming. There's still a window to run away from relegation. It's not about getting into playoffs, it's about running away from relegations. And they're really close to Lucent. They're one game away. It is a tough job, yes it is. Versus Nativz, of all teams, yes it is. But there's always a possibility. They have the hyper carries for that. They have the wombo combo as well. On the other side, I want to see how Nativz is going to pilot this one. We've seen some interesting picks and compositions coming in from Nativz, and every single time they do it, they play it really well. It seems like Demb is bringing a lot of interesting information to this team, and he's piloting the team as well. What can we expect, Jamana, from the early game? Where should we see some action as well, since Nil is going to pilot the Gragas in the jungle?
I mean, it's actually a pretty good question because I'm not entirely sure. I feel like London United can probably play technically through all three lanes. It's going to be a little harder on the bottom side because you don't really have any CC to make plays specifically stick. It's more about whether or not Yopper and Clocks kind of overstep their bounds, which a duo as confident as them, it's definitely, you know, a loose habit that they fall into on occasion. So maybe that's something they can lean on and rely on. But definitely, you know, mid lane, Silas, a little bit of setup there. Top side, it's Aatrox into a tank, right? So definitely something that London United can look to play on in the early game. For Snille, I think you look, you know, opportunistically at plays and you try and make sure you can keep Joe down and away from lanes.
And welcome back to the game. This is going to be the fourth one of match day 13. We already start with a tier in favor of Yoppa, going straight up for the stack. But we know the danger is on the mid lane. Relay, we press the attack, Lucian, Ignite on top of that versus the Conqueror, and teleport from Bear Tree. So this is going to be a tough match for that Silas, unless Wujo can say something in the mid lane or a mistake from Relay. But the thing is, we know how Relay plays. He's a comfortable champion, a comfortable player, and he's really good at what he does. He's good at League of Legends.
Yeah, yes, he is. He's a very good player. Much like
I love that
yeah,
one.
you're welcome. Yeah, that great analysis. Much like a lot of the Nativz lineup, they are pretty strong players. So we'll see what can get done. But this is a lane that Nativz have shown before. I think it's the Ezreal Sonal combination in general, but definitely they've shown this Sona into Yuumi before. I wonder if London United were prepped and ready for it, though. That's the real question, to be honest with you, and whether or not they were actually willing to take it into this. We'll see, though, because, again, when we did see this all the way back in week 1, it was very, very difficult to deal with for the enemy team, as, again, Sona just kind of outscales a lot more than you would probably expect the Yuumi. And again, very just hard to take her down. In a comp like this as well, where there's not too much hard engage, it's mostly just CC. It's, again, if you can't burst her out, which Sona is very squishy, then she just sustains. It's very, very scary.
Lundorf on versus Super Big Fun. Now, this is a matchup that I can see going straight up for the Aatrox if no one gets involved in the top side. I do believe this is a big win in favor of Super Big Fun, unless there's a surprise from Lundorf. People often misplace their idea of what damage she can bring in, the Sejuani, with the Ignite as well, and the Grasp of the Undying and the Permafrost. But I still believe Aatrox should get the lead on this one. Bear Tree is stuck on the turret. This could be a big, big dive. The minions are getting closer. The dive from the top side to the mid lane. Bear Tree is going to get knocked up, and first blood, there you go, is being spilled. That is a wonderful rotation from Nativz.
Yeah, really well done, and just able to dive Bear Tree on that wave. And this lane is going to get super uncomfortable very quickly for Bear Tree if this lead continues to grow. We'll track how Nativz do in trying to snowball that one, but that was a very well executed dive.
Really well played coming in from Nativz at this point, gives advantage to the top side. The first blood didn't win for the Lucian. The Lucian is fighting on the mid line, but there we go. Lundorf trying to annoy the top side because the wave was kind of complicated. Super Big Fun was trying to push it in, but Snille is trying to do his best to keep it at that. Teleport is available. Lundorf can just farm away, and once he have 1,000 gold, he can go back and buy the Bamisina to make this a little bit more awkward.
Yeah, exactly. And I think generally this top lane matchup can be a little bit... I've actually seen it go both ways, which is a bit scary. It should definitely go very, very Aatrox favored, but...
It should, yeah, I know.
At the same time, Sejuani also deals a surprising amount of damage, especially with the Ignite, but if you eat trades like that, it can definitely start to feel Pretty poor. And Lindorf is just going to go back to base. Not risk giving out a solo kill on accident. So, nice little win trade there. Or winning trade, not win trade. Win trade is maybe nice little winning trade from Super Big Fun. Should force out the teleport. Has forced out the teleport from Lindorf. And if he wants to, can actually just walk back to lane. So that should be teleport advantage if he so wants it. But we'll just teleport back to lane regardless.
So talking about this matchup, I'm a top laner. And I've been dealing with this little pig way too much. And oh, Rusty Sniper. Predator kicks in. That's a fast Gragas flash is available, but you're not going to use it. Snilla gets the slow down. Look at Yumi. Trying to block it away. Hands to the side. Well, no hands, but paws. Trying to stop down Snilla. But it's only going to be the flash and the cleanse and the heal. So only exhausted. Wait, Buzzy, you cannot push by yourself. You're the cat.
He's going to do it.
He's going to do it. Okay, he calls for the monkey. It's the zoo on the bot side as the Rusty Sniper is going to use this assist to try and push into the lane. To push it against the turret. I mean, you need to crash it, or else it's going to be a nasty lane for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be in Nativz. Gonna feel a little bit upset about that, but still, I mean, at the end of the day, pulling down the resources of the jungler is still pretty good. And, I mean, again, I just feel Nativz can kind of cruise for a little bit, right? With the Sona scaling, they can always rely on it. They're waiting for, Lucian, 1-item spike to really play around that even more. Ezreal's gonna need 2 items, and they're just gonna lean on their utility. And I feel like it's gonna be one of those compositions where you look at it and you go, how does this even function? And then you just realize how much CC, how much healing and shielding will come from the Sona, how much self-peel and mobility will come from the carries. And with London United's general lack of, point-and-click hard CC to really lock down and get a chain CC going to try and eliminate one of these high-value targets, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare in the mid-game. If the game continues to kind of just be, I'm not going to say stalemated, but in a situation where London United aren't really picking up any major leads.
It really is the one that should pick up those leads right now to get this Lucian a little bit over the top. He's still at almost double farm, 34 to 59. We could get a little bit of an advantage. And Lundorf was the one falling behind at the top lane, but just the presence from Snille as Yop is doing the 1v1 on the bot side, level 5 versus level 4. But the minions now help. And the cool thing about these champions, these AD carries, Ezreal and Zeri, is the fact that as soon as minions drop behind the lane, you stop the aggression. Because they block for damage. Oh, but not the Sona. Clocks comes in, gets the arcane shift, and 1 auto attack is more than enough to seal the deal for Yopa. 2-0 in favor of Nativz.
Yep, Nativz find themselves another kill, and this time it's Yopa picking up that one, and now plates will start to go over. Level 6 hit, and they're just going to hard shove the wave as much as they can. Buzzy, at the very least, Yumi likes hitting levels early on. Not something that she can very frequently do, and Buzzy's just going to take a full step away from the tower very briefly. I'm not sure why, but maybe just going to try and get Rusty Sniper back to the lane. Maybe he's afraid. I mean, there isn't really too much vision to work with, so maybe thought...
I have no idea of the jungler. He's on the top side. It's a big surprise. You don't even need to use the cask. Going to be a clean one for Snilla.
Yep, easy gank pickup, and with mid lane priority as well. Could maybe turn it into a Herald. Low HP on Snille, no ultimate, low HP on Lindorf. It could be risky if Wooljo actually checks the river, so let's see whether he covers that or goes to the Herald. He looks like he's covering the top lane instead, maybe looking for Lindorf as an all-in. He'll have him.
That is an easy kill for him unless Lundorf pulls something aside. Well, you burn the ultimate, you burn the flash away while their jungler is doing the add-all. So even though it's the first kill for London, still don't win on this one.
Yeah, I mean, still something nice to pick up for London at the very least, but they will lose the objective, and that's the crucial thing. Nate is picking that one up, and they'll be able to just snowball whichever lane they really decide to. Relay could be in trouble, but Clocks is at the very least there. Ooh.
Clean.
Yeah, very clean. Forces both flashes out of the mid and support. Bear Tree doing a really good job. Relay just going to dash away from that one as well. Clocks is still there to heal him up a little bit. Really nice from London, just to at least force out those summoner spells, and maybe they can look to repunish in the next couple of minutes. Dragon is up and available. Maybe they can find a skirmish around it, but I think the key ultimates already down. Silas can't steal one of those engage ultimates. No Cyclone available. Rush the Sniper and Buzzy still not level 6 yet, so I think if Nativz want to quick reset in to look to contest the Dragon, I wouldn't see that as totally unreasonable at the moment.
First Dragon is at X-Tech so far. 10 minutes in, kind of late for anybody to take that one, but They need to start stacking on them if you want to go for the soul. As Yoppa is looking sneaky. It's not a Twitch, but he's trying to do it nonetheless. Sheen and Caulfield's Warhammer at this point is going to give him a little bit more power than the Quiver. The Quiver is more towards those minions, not towards the champions. Gives you something, yes, but not that powerful right now. And the Yuumi with the Dark Seal of all items and the Fairy Charm. So this is an awkward build for Buzzy, but if he gets some stacks, well, it's an all-in, I would say.
Yeah, maybe, you know, get the book. Summon Nymera as Lindorf has roamed down towards the mid lane here, and there is definitely a dive being set up in the offing. Snillate has this Herald, and I think, yeah, just will pop it, get a couple more plates. And had Bear Tree actually been underneath this tower, whilst Lindorf had the window, I think they would have just gone for the dive with no flash on that Silas. Definitely easy pickings, a lot of burst between those three champions, but has to make it back towards the top side now.
Ucho is there. But he smells it. He knows the monkey is around. Meanwhile, the dragon is still alive. It doesn't seem like they're going to start this one anytime soon. So that big objective is kind of lost. It's really interesting to see Nativz play because they accelerate the plays that they want to and they slow down the game as soon as they don't need to make any sort of plays. As soon as you told me like, oh, they're cruising. As soon as they want to go into that momentum, it's done. And they force the enemy to play their game.
Perfectly put. To be honest with you, I think Nativz, they're just really good at reading the map, right? And not only that, in kind of combination of that, they kind of draft in a way which, like, they are expecting, you know, certain teams to play in certain styles. London United, in this case, I think they've shown two really strong playstyles. And I mean, okay, Engage comes in.
And they accelerate, oh, but the Sona goes a little bit wide. The Arcane Shift, no, the True-Shot Barrage follows it. And they missed their first engage in terms of kills in this game. So, good for Rusty Sniper, they didn't even use the flash, as it seems like Lundorf wants to go for at least a little bit of more poke. The World Ender comes in. Doesn't seem like the world is ending. I mean, I'm always up for Aatrox to take a beating, you know, because Pantheon was killed by Aatrox. But then you see the Sejuani, and I don't like Sejuani on the top side, I'm conflicted.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's tough. I'm not going to be able to help you on that one either, unfortunately.
You play Kayn. I mean, of all three champions you play, Kayn is the one that I like the most. Just so you know how deep
what are the three champions that I play?
Yone, Yasu, and Yone.
I don't really... No. Okay. So Yone, I'll give you. Yasuo, I actually don't play anymore. I used to play Yasuo years and years ago.
But you played with me.
Yeah, I still have the hands for Yasuo.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but you play him.
Wow. Wow. That's me.
I mean, you kind of plat one, no? You
Okay. For anyone who doesn't understand the context behind that particular joke, I didn't have internet over the weekend. If you were watching on Saturday, you'll know I was on the broadcast via a hotspot. And I decayed in those couple of days from Diamond 1 or Diamond 2 to Plat 1. So, yeah, that is really fun. And now I'm going to have to deal with either Smurf Q or playing in, like, Diamond 1 Master MMR as a Plat 1 in rank. It's going to suck.
You are going to climb really fast. I know your fingers, you're going to do it regardless. Oh, super big fun. He's going to flash regardless, but there's the Predator still on the chase. This is more about buying time, burning time, and some of the spells as the DP is burned by Bear Tree, which leaves the mid lane alone, and Yuumi is going to take that one for herself. But now Rusty Sniper is kind of lonely. It's a Sona that doesn't talk a lot, and Yoppa for the kill, but the minions are not even there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to do it, man. I had to do it.
All right. So it's a fairly slow early game, but we kind of expected this to a point, especially from the Nativz end. As okay, I cast the curse, if any. But he just gets caught out in the jungle. Now there's actually more action. Okay, there you go. All I have to say is the game's slow, and then the game speeds up.
The game is so slow, and Super Big Fun now is going to use his ultimate, but can you even move? Well, meet the turret. This is the new sitcom coming in from Nativz as they present the turret for Super Big Fun. The turret on the bot side is falling as well. It's going to be the first one on the game, and also the first one for Nativz, as we're going to see the replay of the cat. I mean, it's on you if you decide to go in the jungle by yourself.
Yeah, I feel like this is just kind of like you have enough vision control to the point where I definitely understand pathing that way. But like, should you still?
You were going to say Greece,
definitely
right?
pretty aggressive from
You were
Nativz.
going to say Greece.
It's not. It's a gray area. I actually feel like that was a good pick from Nativz, to be honest with you. So where do we lie in this game? Because despite it being relatively slow paced, Nativz have a 5k gold lead, pretty much 4.5k more accurately. Yeah, thank you, observers. Where is most of that gold, though? That's the important thing. It's actually spread relatively evenly across the board. It's sort of like a 1,000-ish, 1.4 in the mid lane, of course, a lot of that coming from the early dive and the waves mist. Nativz just kind of playing across the map. Everybody's been involved in a kill, at the very least. And I think for now, again, just waiting until we get to those core iron spikes. Relay is pretty close to an Essence Reaver, and same thing for Yoppa. I think actually with that Ruby Crystal going towards a Triforce, so both of those AD carries very, very close to that 2-item spike. And then once they hit that 2-item spike, I expect Nativz to be even more proactive in trying to knock down structures and looking towards those neutral objectives as well.
Lundorf by himself on the bot lane. Look at this. The passive is still there, so if they use everything at once, he's not going to receive any sort of damage, but the passive goes down, and that's when you can prey on the Lundorf. As they're going to take the second one, it's going to be for the Wukong, so he's getting all the kills. Meanwhile, Nativz is like, okay, we can take additional turrets.
Yeah, and just immediate cross map, right? Mid lane, tower getting chipped away, top side, tower being destroyed. Cross map's already there. It's 1-for-1, but again, Nativz still pulling more from this play on the map in general. And they're going to be feeling happier for it because it's the members that want to be getting the gold at the moment, right? It's the AD carry in the mid lane. It's Yoppa in the mid lane as well. Now this Herald's even going to get dropped, and I imagine that Relay and Snille, if they really want to try and force it here, can actually get a play. There's something happening in the mid lane. Looks like Clock's had both of his summoners forced away, but now Snille is here to respond.
That's the one with all the gold. That's the one that is trying to get farmed, but they instantly go for a Rusty Snipe, but they don't care even about the Wukong. 20 seconds for the next dragon. It's going to be a Cloud, so I don't think there's any sort of priority on that one, unless it's like a free one. Relay and Clocks, no ultimate available, no flash as well. Easy prey, you told us how squishy the Sona is. It's going to be Snille pushing him away from danger. And now Beartree takes the ultimate from Sona. And he's going to take the kill for himself, 4-6. Small mistakes, allowing London to come back.
Yeah, London pick up a couple of kills for some gold here. It's definitely going to feel nice. See what they can do with it, though, because again, once those 2-item spikes come in for Relay and Yoppa, I feel like the game is going to get significantly harder for London United to play. Especially with the front line. Again, I just feel like the composition flows a lot more than you'd maybe take it for at face value. But London United still have a lot of aggressive options as the game sort of approaches our typical mid-game power spike, as we've hit what I feel like we had a pause earlier, but it was very brief. We have our second pause of the day. Hopefully it can be resolved very quickly. But yeah, I feel like we very recently just took stock of the game. So I don't know if you maybe want to podcast a little bit, have a little bit of fun.
I'm up.
All right. See, I ended this part of the conversation, but I don't really have any topics at hand.
There you go. I was expecting that. That's why I delivered that way.
Hi, chat. How are you guys doing?
You know there's a delay between us and the chat.
I know.
So they cannot do the podcast with us.
I know. It's a little bit awkward. But first, long pause to the point where we've had to come back to us on screen. Hopefully it's something that can be resolved quickly. And of course, we will bring updates to you guys as we get them. But yeah, I think Nativz in pretty firm control of this game so far. And I think it's going to be very difficult for London to claw their way back in. But definitely the options are there, especially with Yumi being able to kind of buff up the scaling of a lot of these bruises a lot more than maybe you would anticipate. It could definitely be an avenue back in, especially if they try or start to pick up their items. You know, in the very near future, the dragons aren't really being stacked up very quickly. I think it's actually London United that have one dragon. Obviously, this dragon's going over to Nativz. So, Seoul very far away, which is going to be a very big factor because normally if you see a lead like this from one team, you normally think, okay, you know, dragons are probably a factor, right? Fourth dragon Seoul. Not going to be the case. It's going to be a very, very long time until we see that soul come into effect. And now objective bounties are also available for the taking for London United. And very important to know that all of those tier 1s are up and available, so they can, you know, very easily be taken off the back of maybe a cross map.
I gotta say, really good at podcast though.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was a fast one.
Yep.
No topic involved. That's a good topic. No topic at all.
Thank you, Archer.
It's yeah. Not going to dive deeper because it may be too close to home. We're going to talk about range, but oh, again, you need to allow the passive to go down before you go on Lundorf, and he dodged most of the damage from Bear Tree. Still has that sort of ability haste to make sure he can stick on Lundorf, but if he has a turret nearby, you cannot kill this target. It's so hard as soon as the passive is back up. And look at it, it's back up.
Yeah, it comes up so quickly as well. Super big fun. Oh no. It's...
Yoi, yoi. But do you have damage? That's the thing. Done.
I mean, it's not even about do they have damage. They just missed a lot of their spell. They missed Everfrost, they missed the Q. That's a lot of their burst damage. Looked very scary for a moment, but very anticlimactic ending to the vision toggles. And Nativz, they're just playing for the objectives for these towers. They should just about be able to slowly chip this one away. Stinde was posturing for a dive, but I think definitely would have been a little bit over ego without Yoppa there to assist. And yeah, Nativz just gonna kind of rotate lane to lane with the waves, see what they can do, and just slowly choke London United of any opportunity to really walk forward into the jungle. The vision entirely Nativz. And just a slow surgical dismantling. But on the bottom side, finally, Bear Tree does break that tower, and again, objective bounties. That's going to slowly drag you back into the game.
He doesn't have mana though, and Lundorf is aware of that. Ignite is available. He has his ultimate if he wants to try and fish for something. Just gets the charge, and now he just needs to proc it. Gets the freeze, goes in for the ultimate. No, the Ignite is ticking. No mana available for Bear Tree. He uses the last bit of it to make sure that he can try and run away. Flashes away, and now it's punishment coming in from Wolju. He's delivering it, but there's no damage whatsoever. He's so tanky.
Yep, that's the power of the... Oh my god, okay. Didn't even look at the meme map while that was going on. Nativz at Baron. Okay, well...
Objectives.
Yeah, objectives. This is what they've been playing for. And no, Yoppa, 2 items. Relay, not quite there, but still Lucian at the 20-minute mark can really burn through that Baron super quick. And with this in pocket now, you expect Nativz are just going to try and force as best they can. Try and, you know, crack open the base of this Baron. I don't really think they're going to slow down the pace per se in terms of going objective to objective. I'm just wondering whether or not they're going to pick up the pace in trying to make dives happen.
Do you go more aggressive now with the Baron, or do you still want to play it carefully as Nativz? You built in some sort of lead. 2 items for the Ezreal means that he's on a really good position. Zeri is still far behind. 2 items on the Sejuani. They all have 2 items, while the enemy team is still looking for the Mythic, aside from that Bear Tree that got the bounty and the bot lane as well. The 2 items, which is the Zhonya's, it's more defensive than offensive, but at least it's something. Bear Tree on the top side trying to get revenge away from the Sejuani. Meanwhile, objectives.
Objectives continue to fall. It's just been Nativ's MO. Like, they don't really care too much about kills. Kills are, you know, a consequence of a play when they're looking for an objective. This is just really good, slow bleed League of Legends. And London United just don't really seem to have much of an answer. Like, they go towards the top side as 3 members. All right, well, now we have a slow stacked wave on the bottom side, which we can use to take down this tier 2. Just really, really well done, pulling London United apart. And there's just not really much reprieve for them to find. Now I'm just going to slowly chunk away at this tower. I mean, I say slowly. Third of the tower already gone. Mid lane tower almost dead. Top side tier 2 gone now. It's just a really efficient use of the Baron. And London United, they have to do something sooner rather than later because they are just getting torn apart.
It's this sweet macro. They're not allowing any part of the map to survive. Slowly bleeding every single part. And now they rotate to the mid lane. They are aware that the mid lane should be the most crucial point in this. Do they want to go for the dragon and just give up on these turrets? Because these turrets regain HP. Slowly, yes, they do. But they still get HP back.
Yeah, I mean, they do, but they only go up by...
94 minutes.
I think it's the third. Like, it does it in thirds, so unless they changed it recently, inhibitor towers, if they drop below like a 33% threshold, then they only regen up to a 33% threshold. I don't think they fully regen.
Didn't know that.
Or it could be Nexus towers. Yeah, that looked pretty funny. Lundorf just doesn't really take damage. So what you'll see is that tower will only regen up to 1.1k HP. Wooljo has been found out on Krugs. Whether he dies or not is a...
It's not about him, it's about Bear 3. If you take Bear 3, you got a good opening.
That is a dead Silas.
Well, regardless if you recover HP or not, well, Ezreal can take this one down as Yop is there. The lightning crash is more than enough to slow down the wave. Meanwhile, talking about where Lundorf doesn't care about that because he has such money with the shield from the Sona, with the mythic we were talking about that actually gives you sustain and shields. This is a dead inhibitor. Now they can rotate into the mid lane, already done. Lundorf is still there. The shield is going to apply, and this is more than enough. Inhibitor is going to be taken down, and Twisted Sniper is running for his life. Super Big Fun now on the front line, but it doesn't matter because Lundorf is there. True Shot Barrage comes clean. Super Big Fun gets some healing, but the turret cannot be healed. The inhibitor as well. They're only missing one inhibitor away from the perfect execution with this Baron in power.
Yep. If Nativz really want to, they can just wait for this next Baron to spawn up and probably look to do exactly what they were just doing, or they can just look to play towards the top side. Either way, they don't really care about dragons at this point. They have so many options with this big of a lead. I think for London United, it's just about looking towards Thursday's game at this point, unless we see some miraculous team fight, which, given how Nativz have been playing, this looks more like a bit of a show of strength for Nativz, right? A game where they're kind of just showing we don't have to just make this a bloodbath. We can tear you apart via the macro. They are really showing us why they were our spring split champions.
Yeah.
Whilst we had maybe some early-ish concerns about Nativz, some I feel are still relatively valid. They are undoubtedly still one of our strongest teams in the league by far, and of course they are only playing against London United, but still to see them be able to play the game like this, very, very impressive. They're just going to siege up on the top side of the map now and look to break open the third inhibitor.
Shot Barrage comes in, but this is a perfect execution from London. Are they too far behind? It definitely seems so, as Nativz are still alive. Yop is the one to fall down, which will allow Super Big Fun to get the reset city. Here comes the lightning crash. This is allowing Rusty Sniper to keep glued to the enemy team. But talking about glue, there's no HP. Bear 3 comes in with the Sunny ultimate. Still is there. This is way messier than we expected. Wukong was not even there, Jamada.
Oh boy. I mean, he started off the fight. He had to go back to base. Don't worry about it. Lundorf also going to be
eaten up alive. Yeah, this is a slow piggy that is not going to the market. He's going to the Nexus, and look at the timing. They're burning the timing. They know the Baron is alive in 20 seconds. Nasty. I love it.
This is really smart. I don't see players and teams do this enough. They're just staggering Lundorf's death. Like, he is going to die. They're just making it take a while. And now you take a look at the death timers, because Nativz, they're spawning now. Lundorf, yes, he has teleport, but he's respawning in 40 seconds time. Really well played by Bear Tree. That is one of the better examples of actually staggering a death. Now Nativz shouldn't really have too much of an answer towards this Baron. Sniday's a little bit too far away. Clocks and Yop can try and lay in some pain over the wall, but I think the Baron is going to be a bit too much of a nuisance. They have to go over the wall, around the wall even.
No spot available.
Oh god.
It's on cooldown. He gets the cast. He doesn't get the smite in. He went down. Into Shot Barrage is not there. From one of the cleanest moments to one of the dirtiest. Native style on London on the Baron after they came back into this game. They tied up in terms of kills, but out of a sudden, Relay is going to put those numbers to the test. As Lundorf is there, 40 seconds after he died for revenge, as he looking to Bear Tree. Super Big Fun. These were the members that made things complicated. Maybe they can do it yet again. Super Big Fun doesn't have the support that he had in the previous fight. The Bear Tree now is way too low as Lundorf comes in for the chase. You know he's mad. You know he's mad. He's still not going to get any kill, as Nativz will seal up the deal, even though London United had the opportunity, the chance, the tape to bring back this game. but it was just not written in the cards. Nativz 10-3.
Really strong showing from Nativz. Despite the ending of that, definitely a little bit sloppy. But London kind of just handed it back to them on a silver platter in that Baron pit. Just didn't have enough damage to burn down the Baron in time. Still, they managed to make it all the way back from base when the Baron was at 9k HP or 10k HP or something like that. Absolutely crazy stuff. Were London United probably going to lose that game if they got the Baron? Probably. But the fact that it got to that point, definitely a little bit spooky. I'm sure Demba's going to be very happy with the first 25 minutes of that game and not the last two. But still, very great stuff. They move up to 10-3. An expected result at the end of the day. And now, hopefully, they can continue their spree as the current leaders of the second division of the NLC. For London United, still searching for more wins when and where they can, because they definitely do need to pick up what they can. Guap and Lucent, still, potential for them to be sticking around right above them, though. And that's the important thing, especially if Guap go on to lose their game against Rate. After we've done our interviews, etc., it's the final game of the night, of course, then, still a little bit of hope. But yeah, sucks to lose a game when you had, a rope potentially thrown at you to try and climb your way back in.
That would be such an important victory for them as well. Well, let's talk with both teams to understand what went wrong for Nativz after such a huge success. But what about the other side after the bad play? So I'll see you in a minute for the interviews.